Living in a major metropolis presents a unique sociological condition, the ability to be completely surrounded by millions of people while remaining entirely unseen. In Bengaluru, a city of over 11 million people, physical isolation seems impossible. The streets are a constant stream of commerce, transit, and overlapping lives. But step away from the arterial roads and into the quiet residential grid of Havanur layout, and the environment changes. The density remains, but the interactions become private, separated by property lines and concrete walls. It was behind one of these doors that authorities, responding to a call, made a disturbing discovery. Inside the private residence, they found skeletal remains. Police statements verified the identity of the deceased as 57-year-old Dakshayini. Her disappearance was a gradual silence. Family reports indicate she had been out of contact for approximately 2 years before the discovery was made. Given the condition of the remains and the length of her disappearance, authorities immediately registered an unnatural death case. A standard wellness check rarely leads to a scene where years of decomposition have occurred inside an active neighborhood. The discovery forces investigators to bridge the gap between a modern city street and a site of long-term, unnoticed death. To understand the isolation that preceded the discovery, investigators must work backward through the verifiable facts of Dakshayini's history. This timeline shows the structural breakdown of her family, beginning in 2005 with the death of her son. In 2017, her husband passed away. Following these compounding losses, police report she lived entirely alone, her immediate household support system gone. Psychologists track a phenomenon called compound bereavement, where successive, unresolved deaths within a family overwhelm an individual's coping mechanisms, often leading to profound social withdrawal. The physical isolation found in Havanur layout was the result of a measurable, gradual retreat dictated by verifiable personal tragedies. That retreat culminated in a 2-year gap of absolute silence leading up to the discovery of her remains. The definitive loss of contact is a verified fact. What investigators cannot know are the specifics of her daily habits during those months, or why neighbors did not intervene as the silence stretched into years. The timeline skips forward to August 7, when police finally located and contacted her brother, Mahesh Basappa. He was brought in to perform the difficult task of identifying the remains of his sister. This initial identification relies heavily on circumstantial evidence, the location of the body and her known residence, and the presence of personal belongings, which must eventually be backed by official scientific confirmation. His sudden presence at the very end of this timeline underscores the tragic paradox of the case. A family member was finally in the room, but only after a 2-year void. The mystery now shifts entirely to the state. Civic resources and official investigative branches are deployed to extract the truth. The primary hurdle for these investigators is the physical reality of the evidence. Extracting data from skeletal remains is vastly different from examining a recently deceased body. By examining specific structural zones on bones, forensic anthropologists look for signs of trauma, remodeling, and environmental degradation. However, crucial evidence is permanently lost. Without soft tissue, toxicology screens are impossible, and establishing a precise time of death becomes incredibly difficult. Because of this decay, 2 central questions remain entirely unanswered. When exactly did her heart stop, and what was the official medical cause? Police have not established any evidence of foul play, suicide, or an accident. In cases of severe decomposition, forensic science often arrives at a valid yet frustrating conclusion: an undetermined cause of death. For the surviving family members waiting for answers, these investigative limitations carry a heavy emotional weight. Stepping back from the forensic lab and looking out at the dense streets of Bangalore highlights a clear societal blind spot. Forensic science may eventually solve the biological cause of Dakshayini's death, but the timeline already reveals how a closed door in a crowded city can effectively separate a life from the community surrounding it.